So many pros and not many cons in Knueppel's game. Kon Knueppel sets a new career high with 32 points, and LaMelo Ball returns to the lineup, doesn't play in overtime, but it's not enough as the Bucks outlast the Hornets to make sure that Darvin Popovich Ham's unbeaten in-season tournament streak continues. I'm here with Matt Alquiza, Hornets writer for Sports Illustrated. Matt, like I started off with LaMelo Ball back in the lineup today, and it just even though minutes restriction, we at least saw that everyone's job was easier when LaMelo was out there on the court. What'd you see from him?
Yeah, Kon Knueppel said it after a recent Hornets game that when the Hornets are missing their star players, that everybody has to play a role that they're not familiar with. They have to scale up their game. And you throw LaMelo Ball back in the lineup, and it just feels like everything begins to flow a little bit better. We saw it in the first quarter, I think 6 assists for LaMelo in that first quarter, and then flows into the second. Charlotte just starts to spam their go-to guard screening action with him and Kon Knueppel. And it makes so much sense together. Really, everything that the Hornets want to do with LaMelo and Khan starts with the ability for them to screen and play off of each other. And when LaMelo is on the floor, he is a force unto himself that opposing defenses need to key in on, which, like you said, makes the job for everybody else significantly easier.
Yeah, like you talked about, they started spamming that guard to guard. Also did Miles in it too. So they had the short roll, the slips on the screens, and first play that it happened with, Miles got a floater. Second play it happened, Kon Knueppel got a floater. Third play it happened, Kon Knueppel gets it in the same spot where he had the floater, takes a dribble, passes to Sion to the corner, and gets a three out of it. And Doc Rivers called a timeout after that three. They were spamming the same move. Hey, we found the wrinkle. We saw that it worked. We're going to hit it over and over again until you make an adjustment. Matt, you did say that you know what that play is called. You see Charles Lee call it and the kind of action he runs. Talk more about that play.
Yeah, I'm not going to out Charles Lee and what the play call is. I don't want to get in trouble for that. But yeah, I mean it's utilizing both Khan and LaMelo's shooting touch against a defense. When Khan comes to set that high ball screen, a lot of the time he slips out to the wing and gets an open three-pointer, which we saw. I think he hit one in the fourth quarter in clutch time on that exact play. So when Khan comes to set that screen and then slips into the short roll, a lot of teams put two on the ball, which leaves Khan at the free throw line with his face towards the basket, essentially in a 4-on-3 if two guards are going to guard LaMelo at the top of the key. So when LaMelo and Khan get in those screening actions together, I mean, there's just 15 different things that you can do off of it. As LaMelo can keep it and take a shot. He can dish it to Khan on the wing for a three-pointer. He can hit that short roll. LaMelo can drive if two guys go with Khan. It just opens up the basically every inch of floor above the free throw line, all the way out to the sidelines, is wide open for those two guys to work in space. And it's just you see the chemistry between them. It's beautiful, and those guys' IQ and the ability to play off of each other is just an absolute weapon for Charles Lee to have in his holster.
Yeah, like I said, with that, Khan pass to Sion for the three, the hockey assist for LaMelo too. Like you won't see that in
Mhm.
the counting stats when you look at the box score, but you will understand when you watch the game that that shot isn't generated unless LaMelo Ball is on the court. And talking about generating good shots, let's transition to the Bucks because when they were in town 3 days ago, Doc Rivers had a pregame, and I asked Doc Rivers about the differences in threes that you're generating when Giannis is playing and when you're not. And he gave me a great answer. We saw Tyronn Lue tell or use the game plan against Jokic. Hey, we're going to let you get whatever you want, and we are going to make sure none of your teammates can eat at all. And Jokic had 55 points and made him pay. Charles Lee did the exact opposite in this game. Hey, Giannis, anytime he touches the ball, we are sending two to the ball, and we are letting everyone else on the Bucks beat us. And the supporting cast, in turn, did beat the Hornets with the threes today. What did you see from that defensive game plan against Giannis tonight?
I mean, they were just throwing bodies at Giannis at all times. Anytime he turned his back and tried to take one power dribble, it was normally Miles Bridges who was guarding him. Charlotte would either send Moussa Diabate from the opposite corner to show a second body at Giannis, or Sion would dig, or Khan would dig, or Trey Mann would dig. They were just doing everything they could to get the ball out of Giannis's hands. And on a different night, that is a sound strategy. Tonight, Milwaukee shot 20 of 34, almost 60% from three. Miles Turner, four in the first quarter, two in overtime. I mean, that was really the difference, shooting 6 of 8 from three. Giannis's decision making was just perfect. So he had 7 turnovers, but that's going to happen when you're getting like two guys on the ball and you're forced to, make plays off of 1 footer fading out of bounds. But 18 assists for Giannis tonight. I think his career high is 20. But yeah, ditching 18 assists. I mean, you either live with Giannis going for 60 and decimating your defense, especially when you're a team like Charlotte, who is down your starting center, Ryan Kalkbrenner, down Grant Williams, Tijon Salon is in Greensboro. They're just always going to be at a size deficit against a guy like Giannis. Or you live with letting his teammates try to take over the game. And for the most part, they all did. Ryan Rollins, 4 of 6 from three. Miles Turner, 6 of 8. Kyle Kuzma, 2 of 4, 29 points, most on the Bucks. A really like big swing from his game in Charlotte on Wednesday night. So Charlotte executed their game plan. Charles Lee said at halftime that the idea was to throw bodies at Giannis, get the ball out of his hands, make his teammates make the winning plays. That was Charlotte's game plan. Backfired on them tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah, when you face pantheon players like Jokic and Giannis, you just have to pick your poison and live with the results. And that's exactly what happened in this game. At a certain point in the fourth quarter, the broadcasters for the Bucks said that 12 of Giannis's 13 assists led to three-point shots. And you're just
Yeah.
thinking, oh my goodness. And the way he's passing them too, like these are high-level reads and plays where he's looking people off. That Kyle Kuzma three in overtime, I believe, was a touch pass because he saw the double was coming. Quick touch pass to the corner. Kyle Kuzma gets a three, but the Hornets were still able to keep a sizable lead in that second quarter. Kon Knueppel is getting downhill over and over again. I have written down his shot diet is immaculate. However, they go into the half up eight, 69 to 61. And I'm thinking to myself, here we go. We saw them have a good third quarter against the team they just faced. And then we're coming into this one and thinking, oh, against the Bucks, of course. And then we're coming into this one and saying, will those third quarter woes come back? And in fact, they did. 13-point swing in the third quarter. Talk about that third. What did you kind of see there? Because there were a lot of shots that they just settled for early in that quarter.
Yeah, I felt like the Bucks defense really flummoxed the Hornets in that third quarter, mixing between a little bit of zone, a little bit of man. It's kind of like ratcheted up the pressure. I think Charlotte had 6 turnovers at halftime. They had 3 or 4 in the third quarter alone. I mean, it was just tough for Charlotte to get good shots. They started to force it a little bit. And they still scored 29 points in the quarter, which is fine. But back on the other side of the floor, Giannis started to like really assert his dominance. I think I looked at halftime and I was like, oh, Giannis is kind of having like a pedestrian game. They had like 17 or 11 and 11 at that point. I don't know. He just came out in the third quarter and totally started to dominate the Hornets, continued kicking the ball out to teammates. I mean, it was just he totally like orchestrated the game in the third quarter, is what it felt like to me. And Charlotte couldn't keep up over that 12-minute stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. I have written down in the third quarter, it seemed like the Hornets were running their first action. And when the first action wasn't working, they were just like, okay, I'm settling for this
Yeah.
mid-range Colin Sexton pull-up, or Miles Bridges is saying, hey, the first action didn't work. I'm settling for this three. And that kind of put them behind the eight ball. But we did see some good plays from Sion being a connector and then also having some turnovers there. To end the third quarter, they did the play you talked about earlier. Not the play that I won't say what it is, but they did the play earlier because now you got me in the back of my head. They're gonna send the black SUVs to my house
Yeah.
for calling out the for calling out the
Calling out the
play.
play.
Exactly. But they ran the con slip for three to end the third quarter. And I've noticed that they like running it at the same time every like Khan will wait at the nail or the elbow until it hits 11 seconds
Yeah.
and then
Uh-huh.
he'll set the screen and then he'll
Yep.
pop. And I'm wondering like what kind of mindset, what goes behind that. And I know if I ask Charles again, the light's gonna be blaring outside. So let me keep it to myself for right now. But let's go to the fourth quarter because it was starting to slip away from the Hornets. And Cole Anthony's disaster class, that stretch
Yeah.
of time that he had really kept them in. Flagrant foul, another foul. He has a fadeaway shot going left that was had the announcers flummoxed as well. And then another bad foul. So just talk about that period of time in the fourth quarter, allowing the Hornets to stay in it, and then the Hornets being able to kind of fight back and forth in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, when Cole Anthony was going through that stretch, my thought was anytime that the Hornets can score with the clock stopped and without Giannis and Miles Turner defending the paint, or the Hornets play defense on the other side without Giannis touching the ball, it's a win. So that flagrant foul, it's a 4 point possession for Miles Bridges because he makes two flagrant free throws. Cole Anthony comes down, misses that jumper where he's the only person that touches the ball for the Bucks in the whole possession. Next time down the floor, Cole Anthony tries to pass the ball to Giannis, but he throws out of bounds, turnover. Hornets come down and score. So it was like a 2 minute stretch where the Hornets were scoring with the clock stopped. They were able to claw back from a deficit without the Bucks having a chance to score the ball or without having a chance to bleed the clock. And then the go-to alien on the other side of the floor wasn't touching the ball because Cole Anthony was trying to get into his bag. So that was a huge momentum swing for the Hornets. And that's really what let them get back into the game where Kon Knueppel took over down the stretch.
Yeah, I have this 6:43. Doc goes zone for the Hornets. Doesn't do it for that long, but then Ryan Rollins checks back in. He has like 8 points
He's
straight.
a stud, man.
He's so,
Ryan
I
Rollins is
mean,
so good.
we were there watching him warm up courtside 3 days ago, and he's, arm's length away from us, and we're just saying, like, what does his frame remind you of? Who does his frame remind you of? And that guy's got a bright future in the league. But like you said, Kon Knueppel, this guy is blowing by people and getting to the basket for dunks. He is able to just like get a quick first step, get downhill, and get whatever he wants, which is something that I did not think he'd be able to do this early in his career. Just talk about Kon Knueppel and how he not only kept the Hornets in that game, but in a lot of those stretches, the Bucks must have been thinking anyone but Kon in the fourth quarter.
When you're evaluating draft prospects, one of the things you look for is how they can score in the half court. How does a guy like Kon Knueppel get buckets with the ball in his hand off of shots that are not manufactured for him? He had a play in the second quarter where he got fouled on a 3 point jumper. Charlotte set a couple of stagger screens for him. He comes flying off them, catches the ball, goes up and shoots it, fouled by AJ Green. That's what you think of when you think of a guy like Kon Knueppel, flying off screens, catching, shooting. But he had a dunk in a half court set that I don't think I ever saw him do at Duke. Charlotte loves to run these little, like, it's called gut zoom, where Khan runs from the baseline up the elbow, goes off a couple of screens, gets downhill. Did it a couple of times tonight, and he's able to, just like you said, get his first step past a defender. He's not even sneaky athletic. I don't even like using that term for anybody, let alone the like chunky white guy from Duke that now plays for the Hornets. But just like a couple of times he gets by defenders because they don't think he's going to do it. So he threw down that dunk in the fourth quarter in a half court set. And I was like, all right, that is just like another level that I did not think Kon Knueppel had to his game that he's showing to us tonight. So yeah, man, 32 points on 20 shots, 4 of 9 from deep, 4 of 5 from the line. I mean, it was by far the best scoring performance of his young career. And he came through when the lights were the brightest. I think he had two threes in the last minute of the game. One to put Charlotte, I think, down three with like a minute to go. And then he hits the game tire off of that wild Miles Bridges missed dunk. And to do that in front of 2,000 people in his hometown, just like, yes, the skill is there, obviously. We've seen it. But the mentality, the fortitude to be able to walk into your hometown and put up a performance like that when everyone is there to see you, it's big time stuff.
The 2020s is not a good time to just be a scorer like a Cam Thomas or a scorer like a Jalen Green because anyone with the right amount of touches can go for 25. On the
Hmm.
flip side, there is no better time to be a movement shooter in the NBA that's a knockdown guy and put the ball on the floor because there's so much space. So guys like Kon Knueppel are going to flourish and relish these opportunities in this modern NBA. You talked about it, 2,000 fans there, as James Plowright reported for Kon Knueppel. You had the Hornets team at Kon Knueppel's house yesterday, which I think is just super cool.
It's like an
Um,
AAU tournament. It's just,
dude,
your family dinner night one of the AAU
exactly.
tournament before you guys go out and hoop all day Saturday.
And it was awesome to see that, like you said, I mean, he's living up to those moments. He's got people there to watch him. And we see his mom at the Hornets games getting excited for every basket he has. And now you're seeing her in Milwaukee and all his friends and whatever saying, wow, this guy can hoop. So let's go to overtime because a couple of things I want to mention in overtime. We both said before this pod, we wish Khan saw the ball a little more, maybe had a little more shots in overtime. But people we didn't see Colin Sexton again in crunch time, in overtime. Now we've seen a lot of people have left comments on these videos saying no Colin Sexton. Again, what is up with Charles Lee's kind of rotation? What's maybe your interpretation of Colin Sexton not finishing these games repeatedly for the Hornets?
I have no idea. I think tonight it was a little bit of hot hand. I thought Trey Mann was pretty good tonight as a whole. It will be forgotten because he was pretty brutal in overtime, a couple of missed shots, a couple of turnovers, but he was getting to the same spots on the floor that he got to in the first four quarters where he was able to finish those plays. So he gets a couple of different bounces off the rim, then his overtime looks a lot better. So I mean, I think that's what it comes down to tonight. But as a whole, it's kind of baffling to me that Colin Sexton continues to be on the bench in these fourth quarters. He was brought in as the veteran guard option. We talked all summer about how Charlotte has this deep stable of veteran guards behind LaMelo Ball. You would think that Colin Sexton is going to be able to work his way into these lineups at some point. And there's something that I like about Colin Sexton. It happened three or four times tonight when the Bucks went on a run. Sexton just made it a point to put his head down, get into the body of somebody, and draw a foul to just like calm Charlotte's offense down, to get them some free throws, to get them a breather after a Bucks run. He just has a level of professionalism at the point guard spot that a young team like Charlotte needs, the youngest team in the NBA at this point. So I don't know what if this is going to be like a tipping point for Trey Mann to not close these games when LaMelo Ball isn't healthy or what, but I would be surprised if Charlotte comes down the stretch of a close game, LaMelo Ball off the floor, and Colin Sexton is not the point guard on it.
Yeah, in football, sometimes when people are coming back from injuries, they say, you don't feel like you're yourself again until you have that first big hit, right?
Yeah.
Until you get up from that first big hit, you're like, okay, I took that, I'm okay. I can get back to playing football. I feel like myself again. In Trey Mann's case, maybe it took that dunk over Miles Turner, even though
Hmm.
might have been offensive foul with the push off. Even though he did that, it might have been that play for Trey to be like, okay, I have my bounce back. I have that burst back. Maybe plays like that were kind of like what he needed to be the final check or the final box that needs to be checked for him to kind of feel like himself again. But like you said, a lot of turnovers, not the greatest overtime for him. Now, you mentioned with Colin Sexton not playing and Trey Mann maybe being the guy as LaMelo Ball is out. It's another guy who didn't touch the floor in overtime. Now, Charles Lee has told us on many occasions that they have put together a plan for LaMelo Ball. The training staff has talked to Charles Lee and LaMelo. All parties involved seemed happy with it. And my interpretation of no LaMelo in the fourth quarter or in overtime was we are not going to deviate from this plan in order to maybe get a win when it could, affect him down the line and not play more games. Kind of what's your interpretation of it?
Yeah, same exact thing. 27 minutes for LaMelo Ball tonight. If he's fully healthy, if he hadn't missed the last 2 weeks, I'm sure he would have been up in the 40s like the rest of the starters. 42 for Bridges, 43 Diabate, 42, 41 for Sion and Khan. So it's totally injury related with LaMelo missing the fourth quarter. I don't know if that means they're saving him to play at home tomorrow night. Like if he's only playing 27 minutes tonight, does that mean they're going to save him to trot him out there in the new Hooper's Paradise jerseys? I don't think he's going to play, but that thought crossed my mind. Yeah, injury related, they have a plan for him. Charles Lee keeps saying that the plan is to maximize the number of games that LaMelo Ball can play this season. He played tonight, albeit only 27 minutes. So yeah, injury related. I don't think that'll be the case for the rest of the season, but maybe it is if they're trying to injury manage him through the next however many games they have left, 67 or whatever, and then still kind of jockey for some draft positioning. It kind of makes sense to only play LaMelo Ball like a limited number of minutes throughout the stretch of a game like this.
I would be very surprised if the Hornets played LaMelo Ball against a pack of hounds in OKC, the AI created pack of hounds. Those guys, I could hop into OKC tomorrow and give you an efficient 10 points, 4 boards, 3 rebounds on like 70% true shooting. I don't know what it is with those guys, but thank you, Matt. It is 11:14 on a Friday night. I'll see you tomorrow at the Hornets game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Quick thing before you get out of here. Celebrated my birthday last Saturday. One of my friends gifted me something that is I really appreciate. We got a Denver Mellow poster here,
Mm.
guys. So just want to say, thank you guys for listening. Of course, hit the like and subscribe button. Matt, I'll see you tomorrow. And like Carmelo Anthony, man, get some separation in the phone booth. We'll see y'all later. Peace.